What's going up, everybody? Welcome back to Boosted Motorsports. Behind me we have the Crack Hawk, the LS swapped Jeep Comanche. So we've gotten quite far on this project. We're almost there. The last video, what did we get done?
Last video we got, I don't even know. I don't know what.
Damn, this guy's still sleeping.
We're all over.
So we got the B&M shifter in there. We got the fuel tank done, and then we started on the fuel lines, but we were waiting on one fitting, which is actually on the end now. So this might be a big day for this, because we might be able to finally start this thing.
We need to bolt the intake down, gas lines. What else?
It still needs accessories, like it still needs a water pump. We have all that stuff actually behind us in that huge box from Holley. So we've got water pump, alternator, and coils, the brackets, MSD coils. We also have some new valve covers. We were gonna go with red ones, but I think we're actually gonna go with some black ones, which might show up today actually. So we got to get all that done, but we mounted the fuel pressure regulator as well. And we have those two sets of hoses. So we have -6 and -8. So -8 is going to be our feed, -6 is going to be our return. We just have to pretty much cut them to length and put 2 more fittings on it, and then we can actually prime the fuel system. So we're getting close. We're gonna have to.
We got this mounted too.
Yeah, so that's in there, and we have to still like mount some of this stuff. I do have different fuel injectors from Holley for our turbo kit, but I think just to get it started, it's probably going to be easier just to use OEM stock sized fuel injectors. So we got a bunch of little things, obviously, like there's little ports and stuff on our manifold that we're gonna have to plug up, otherwise this thing is gonna rev to the moon when we first light it up.
Throttle too.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna give her some sauce. It's already gonna be loud as hell. So we're just gonna be starting it with open header. So I got a header on this side, I gotta put the other one back on that side, but we're literally gonna fire it up. If it runs for like 5 seconds, and we're gonna that'll be the end of it. We just wanna see if it runs and doesn't like make an absolute racket. So we'll see how far we get. Hopefully we'll be able to fire it in this video, but let's get to work. Okay, check it out, guys. So we've got our 2 fuel lines come through here, through there. We're just kind of holding them together with some tie wraps for now, just so we can kind of get the length sorted out. And then we're gonna go right over here, following across on our transfer case here. That way we're not getting in the way of this front drive shaft, or trying to, come across here where the front drive shaft is. And then we're gonna go across the top of the transmission and up to our fuel pressure regulator and our fuel rails. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, so here's our lines here. The yellow tape marks are where I've measured them so that they will go to our fittings. So we're gonna cut them, put our fittings on there, and then we can flush out our lines. Okay, so we've got our 290 fittings on here. John did his first professional AN fittings.
We used WD on it.
No, all the professionals in the comments are gonna get mad.
So this will go here, and then this one will go to our
fuel rail.
Yep.
So we still have to tighten all the fittings. Also have to flush out the lines. Technically, should we do it?
What, flush out the lines?
I guess we might as well. We can put fuel in this thing for the first time. First time, smack on Jeep. What you call it, knock on Jeep?
No, knock on Jeep.
Smack on crack. All right, well, don't mind the 30-day mess on our table, because we are trying to just get stuff done. So we ended up making up and finalizing our brackets for our fuel rails, because this intake is just, no hardware, no anything. We got our painted throttle cable bracket on here. We got our map sensor in here. We put in some of the different ports, plugged off the port we got on the back here for our brake booster, and then another port that we plugged. And fuel rails are mounted, all of our fittings are tight. I've got fuel injectors in here. We do have larger fuel injectors that we're gonna put in once we get the turbo on there. So these are the bigger fuel injectors we're gonna put in, but we'll get to that later once we actually get a turbo on this thing. Anyways, the intake manifold's ready to go. All of our hardware is right here. I think we're gonna actually install it and not have to take it off for a little bit at least. So we don't have necessarily a reason to take it off. So we're gonna install it. We still have to flush out our fuel lines, and we are gonna put fuel in the tank for the first time in a few minutes here. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna flush out the line that feeds to our fuel rail here. So we're gonna leave this disconnected, flush that line right to here. We'll run some fuel through it, and then we'll connect it. It'll run through the fuel rail, through the fuel pressure regulator, and then we will flush out the line that goes back to the tank. We'll take it off from the tank, the return line, dump it into a bucket right before the tank, and that should flush it out the other direction. So got a little bit of stuff to do, but let's get it done. All right, so we've got our wiring. We're just rigging it up here. I still gotta decide what we're gonna do. This is the original fuel pump wiring, so we got the 4 wires there. But of course, we're doing relayed heavy gauge wire. So we got this going to a relay, and I have one of these wires is gonna be for our actual fuel gauge. So, but the problem is the fuel gauge or the cluster that runs off of this runs off the PCM. So because we don't have the PCM in there, it's all pissed off and it's not making our fuel gauge work. So I'll figure that out later, but right now we just need to get the fuel system working. So here we go. I got my feed line connected. Our return line is disconnected because we're gonna let this dump down. But when we go up top, we're gonna move that -8 off the fuel rail. It's not connected right now. We're gonna engage the fuel pump. It's gonna run fuel through these lines out to there. We'll clean out that side, and then we'll connect everything up there, and then we will let pressurized fuel come back and clean out this line in case there's any debris in it from us making the lines, cutting the lines, and then we can finally reconnect it to here so it can return the fuel into the tank. Okay, so Jeep is back down on the ground. So here is our feed line coming direct from our tank. So we should be able to cycle the key and get some fuel out of here, and we'll run it into a bucket, and that way we can just flush out this feed line. Okay, so I'm just gonna put 12 volts. John is here. He's gonna I don't know what you're gonna do.
The gas line so it doesn't fall.
I know what's wrong with it. Ain't got no gas in it. We're just gonna dump it in this dirty bucket and just get a little fuel flowing through it.
We'll put the gas back in the tank afterwards. Don't tell boost. Go for it. Gas. Let's go. All right, turn it off. Huh?
Any junk on that?
It all blended in with all the other shit in here, so I don't know. But a lot came out. Go for it. All right.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
All right.
That was a lot of gas.
Yeah, well, we got a huge pump on there. So, all right. So our feed line is clear. We're gonna take this out and we're gonna put it on the rail, and we can connect our rail, and our line that goes back is already connected. So we'll get that, and then we're gonna pump it back through our new line, dump it into our bucket before it goes back in the tank, clear out the line going back, and then we got fuel lines. Yeah. Yeah, so John's gonna connect that to the back of our rail. Okay, so me and John got our intake manifold on, our fuel rails are secured. We ended up buttoning up some of the holley wiring, kind of plugging stuff in. We got our throttle body all connected. Fuel rails and all that stuff is connected, but we didn't connect where it goes back in the tank. So right now I'm gonna throw 12 volts on the fuel pump. It's gonna pump all through these rails. It's gonna fill all the rails and everything with fuel. And then before it goes all the way back to the tank, it's gonna dump on the floor, clean out that second section of fuel line, and then we can connect to the tank, and then we will have a fuel system, boys. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if we can make a mess. So we're gonna pressurize our fuel system. What kind of pressure you got? No leaks, right?
10? No leaks.
Only 10?
Yeah. Oh, leak.
All right, so John saw a leak.
Got a massive leak right here.
We were already planning, this is like some no-name hose, but the actual fitting itself, this is why you don't use cheap fittings, but it's leaking out of here. Not on the O-ring, but out of the actual AN fitting. So
and it's super tight. We make sure.
Yeah, it was tight and we just cracked it loose now. So, I mean, even right now, even after me loosening it, it's still tight. But yeah, they're both tight, but she's leaking out of here. So we're gonna undo this, see if we can see anything quick so I don't have to make the new hose, because we're gonna route this underneath our throttle body, but I kind of want to get the water pump and everything in there before I actually do that. But let's see if there's anything weird going on with this fitting.
Why underneath?
It'd just be cleaner. Let's see. Oh my God.
What the hell?
That would explain it. Somebody's got some freaking tissue in there.
It's got some tissue.
Oh, you can never predict what you're gonna see on this thing, boys.
This guy. Why?
That's why we had no fuel pressure. See?
Oh. Dude, that thing was packed in there too.
Maybe we need to check the other side. What the hell? All right, so I double checked the other side, make sure there's no tissue on it. Yeah, let's put this back on. I'm sure it'll be okay now. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead, put 12 volts on here, and we're gonna get fuel into that bucket. There we go. That's what we wanted. But let's off our return line. Let a little bit of fuel run through. All right, should be good. All right, so we're under here. I'm gonna go ahead and connect our return line to the tank. Okay, we got our return fuel line is connected. So now let's go back up top and continue on with the build. Okay, so we've been busy just chipping away at a bunch of different tasks. So we ended up taking the fittings out of the side of the transmission and we put in some AN fittings, or tried to, I should say, but they are these ones are tapered, whereas the ones we tried to put in were a straight cut and it just wouldn't go in. So ended up ordering those. So those will be coming soon. We plugged in our transmission to our holley. This is our vehicle speed sensor, which we're gonna have to extend, and also because it's a 4-wheel drive unit, has a different plug on it. So it's gonna have to go to over here, but I gotta get the appropriate plug. Tried looking through all the spare wiring that came with the truck and I could not find this plug, so we'll probably have to venture off to the junkyard to get that pigtail and extend that, but it's not gonna prevent us from starting it. And then you can see the transmission right here, it's suspended. And we took off the cross mount. I saw some people like saying, oh, flip it, but you can't just flip it. It doesn't work like that, boys. One side is flat like that, and the other side has this portion here. So it's kind of triangulated here. So you can't just simply flip it like some people are saying. So what we did was we drilled the holes from the back side, and then I had to open up some access holes so we can access the nuts. So this is gonna bolt straight to there. Then I took some of this square tubing and we cut it to length, drilled a couple holes in it. I boxed in the ends. That's gonna sit on top, and that should give us our appropriate spacing. Let's go ahead, throw it in, try it out, and see what we got. All right, so here's our painted transmission spacer. So let's go ahead, throw this thing on there, get this in. I ended up painting it because I figured if it fits, I don't want to take this back out. So she's painted. Let me show you guys the install. All right, so not that exciting, but we're draining the oil out of this thing, and it is very dark.
Let's put some light through it.
No, light don't go through that. It's like trying to put light through a chocolate bar. And then here's our mount setup. So there we go. Our transmission's officially mounted. We've got our cross member, and she is all up in here. So yeah.
Okay. No shaving.
No shaving. All right, well, that's good at least. So we're gonna change the filter. And obviously we're taking the oil out, and we'll see what we get into next. Well, here's a good sign. It's got a magnetic drain plug, and there's not really much of anything on it. A little bit of fuzzies, but nothing excessive. All right, so John's over here making things fancy. Look at that. Look at that fresh fram. Ooh, the comments are gonna get lit right now. What are you doing putting the fram on your motor? Oh man, so yeah, we got that. Look at that. If you're mad about the frame, you might be even more mad about this.
Use this fram on the Viper too, guys.
Woo! Super Tech oil. Nothing but the best. Anyways, all jokes aside.
Be better than this though.
Yeah. Yeah. All jokes aside, you guys, I've used Fram on my regular vehicles for a while, and a lot of people have failures with Fram, but at the same time, they're literally the most common filter ever. So it's kind of hard to say. I would agree there's probably better filters, but for your average vehicle, I don't think you can really go wrong with the Fram. That's my personal opinion. As for the oil, I'm putting cheap oil in it right now because I don't want to get things running. I'm probably going to just put it in and then dump it. Plus, I don't know if this pan has to come off. I'm going to see if it starts puking out the side here, then I'll want to put a new pan gasket on it, and I don't want to have expensive oil in there with an expensive filter. So you guys hopefully understand that way. Plus, once we get the turbo in, I've heard that we can use this sensor over here. So this is an oil level sensor. We can take that out and put a fitting in there for our return. And then I believe here we can use this as a feed line. So I'm gonna try and do that. I kind of did a little bit of research, and people are using those too for their feed and return. So, but again, I don't know if the pan has to come off. So I'm just putting, cheap oil in it, so to speak. So anyways, let's put this thing down. Let's see what we get onto next. She's getting pretty close. There's a couple broken studs, manifold studs. So we're gonna try and see if we can get those out. And then we still gotta put an exhaust manifold on this side. And I'm still waiting for our valve covers to arrive, and then we can put our coil packs on and then maybe light this thing off. One of the kind of unfortunate parts is we're waiting on a couple fittings for the side of our transmission. So if we do start it, this thing is gonna gush fluid, but I really plan on only starting it for maybe 2 seconds. So yes, it'll gush fluid, but it's only going to be running for maybe 2-3 seconds. I just want to see if it fires more or less. So let's put it down, see what happens. Okay, so Jonathan just took off that manifold. I'm over here. We've got a broken stud on the back here. I tried grabbing it with some vice grips. She didn't want to move, so we're going to use the old weld a nut to the stud trick and get that out of there. And then you have what, one on your side?
One broken, yes.
Is it on the back or middle or?
The front.
Oh, all right.
Right here.
That one might be easier then. I'm going to do this one and then I'll show you guys the result. All right, there it is. Got just an ugly little weld down in there, but yeah, I've got this nut on here and we are taking out this broken stud. Definitely the easiest way, boys, if you have access to a welder. Doesn't even have to be a fancy welder, but it's not like we got fancy ones, but this is the ticket for sure. So let me get this out of here and we'll work on the other side. All right, there's one. So she is out. Now let's do the other side. Okay, so this one is right in the front, so it'll be a little bit easier to get to, but same procedure. Put a nut on there, we'll weld it, and then we'll take it off. Okay, so I welded it. John's just running the ratchet. Almost. It's almost out. So definitely the easiest way. That took like what, 5 minutes? Not even for two of them.
Yeah.
There she is.
It is.
The other broken one.
Show them what we got though.
Woo! Some packages showed up, boys. There might be a snail in there. We got a snail in there, valve covers, and I think some other goodies. Let's open this stuff up. Just before I was about to put the welder away, and John spotted it. So there is one in the very back behind this brake booster that is busted inside the head. So this one's a little more fun. These ones we got lucky, it was a little more exposed, but beside the brake booster, I'm gonna try and get my welder in here and we'll get one on there. So same procedure though. You hit it with the welder. The welder is only going to attach itself to the steel, and then we'll kind of make a little nub, so to speak. And then once we get that, then we will put a nut on it and tack it to our little tack that we built up. But yeah, it's just not much room in here, boys. Oh my God, you guys, got it. That was an absolute nightmare to do in this.
Super deep in there.
Yeah, in this. I mean, it was broken 1/4 inch inside, and to try to put a tack on it between the brake booster and the steering column, and like my torch only goes on like a 45, and we needed a 90. So it was not fun. But I was saying, John, I was like, I hope we get this out because I do not want to be pulling this engine. Sometimes, like on the trucks, like on the Rams, you can access this perfectly from the fender well, but on this case it was not accessible very easily. But anyways, she's out. I'm just getting the last couple threads and we'll move on.
Take it off with your hands.
Yeah, sure. It'll be in my hand.
All right, we got 2 packages.
We got 3 kind of.
Yeah.
We know what the third one. Well, I don't know what's in this one, so let's see. See what Holly sent us. What do we? I know what it is.
What is it?
STS turbo.
Oh, is that the wastegate?
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, let's go.
Sheesh. So we got the wastegate.
Okay, but where's the turbo?
What does that mean? What do you need a wastegate for?
Yo, that's sick.
It's looking pretty minty. So it's just a little guy, but we're only doing a little bit of boost without a huge turbo. So let's see what's in this one. Let's go.
Got the turbo.
Damn.
Nice.
Heck yeah. See, now we just need, our manifolds are on the way. Look at this is gonna be right here.
How big, what is that turbo? What millimeter or whatever?
Well, on our hot side, we're at 81. I don't know on the other side. Let's see. I don't know. I'll have to find out the specs on it. It can sit somewhere around here. I'm not sure exactly. And we can clock this too. So something like that. We'll have to see where we go. But any turbo is a good turbo in my opinion. So we're gonna do this, and the exhaust is gonna come out through here. Probably.
I'd say that way.
Probably
straight
punch
that
it
way.
right out the fender.
Yeah.
Something like that. But heck yeah.
Let's go. More power.
All right, so we can't hang the turbo just yet, but we're waiting for the manifold. Hopefully it'll be here in a few days. We do have spark plugs though, so we're gonna go ahead and throw in our brand new spark plugs, put on our wires. What do you think, John? Are we almost ready to?
Let's crank it up.
We're gonna make a mess with the transmission if we do it, but might be worth it. we have a manifold, or we did. We're gonna probably put the manifolds on just so it's not spitting fire out the side. But yeah, it's gonna be rowdy even if we do. So we'll get the plugs in there. We'll put our manifolds on, and then we'll see what we decide. We might fire this thing, even though it might shoot transmission fluid everywhere. Okay, so our manifolds are on. We're gonna throw our plugs in, and then we can hook up our wires for our MSD coils mounted on our beautiful Holley tall valve covers. So super trick looking pieces as well. So let's get that stuff on there. All right, check it out, boys. We got our wires on here. We'll probably upgrade these because they look pretty sad looking. But right now we have to set our fuel pressure, but I have to go through the wizard on our Holley EFI, so we'll do that. I also think I have to update the firmware because last time I turned it on it said to update the firmware, so we'll do that. Go through the wizard file, tell our Holley EFI, our Terminator X Max, what setup we have. We have to tell it has a 4L60, tell it that it has a 5.3, what fuel injectors we have, what map sensor we have, all that good stuff. And then it should potentially crank and fire. We don't know. So we'll find out. And like I said, do have to set the fuel pressure as well. So let's get all that done, and I don't know, we might fire this thing for a split second today. Okay, so we're just over here right now. It's almost done. We are copying the new files with the latest updates to our SD card. That'll go in our handheld, the 3.5-inch touchscreen, and then we can go ahead and run the wizard. Okay, here we go with the SD card. We're gonna pop it back in here. Okay, so it's in here. Now let's key on. See what we do here. There we go. We're updating our 3.5. Now I think it's gonna reboot. All right, so we'll let this do its thing. Might take a few seconds, going through a bunch of different updates here. Okay, so we're gonna let this thing fully update and then we'll be good to go. All right, so firmware update complete. So cycle the ignition for 4 seconds and do TPS auto set before trying to start the vehicle. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and cycle the ignition. Okay, so there we go. It's saying there's nothing in it, which we know. Okay. So no calibration loaded. We know that. So we're gonna go to the wizard. And here we go. So we're gonna go through all the steps, you guys. It's pretty straightforward. It only takes like, I don't want to say a couple minutes. So multi-port fuel injection, GMLS, number of cylinders, 8. Only one option for the firing order. We're gonna put in liters. We're gonna run this over to 5. Oh, definitely not 12 liter. So 5.3. Next, target idle speed. Definitely don't want 400. I don't know. Set it to like 750-ish. Camshaft specs. It's stock, so we're just gonna leave it like there for now. This part, ignition type, 24 or 58 tooth. All right, so John just looked it up. We're not GM guys, but hopefully you can see here.
We got 99 to 07, 5.3 truck SUV, 24 reluctor.
Okay, so it's a 24 tooth reluctor wheel. So let's go ahead and put that in. All right, so 24 tooth. Let's see what next question. Fuel pressure. We're gonna go with 43 psi. Next, injectors. So these are GM OEM ones right now. So we got to figure out what part number we have. All right, so we're just ripping through the wizard here. So now I'm setting up the transmission type. So 4L60, we'll put that in there. We're setting our rear end ratio. Automatically scale shift tables. Yes. We're gonna redo this afterwards, you guys. This is just enough to get it firing for now. Okay, so we're making our file with the wizard. Like I said, we're putting bigger fuel injectors in here once we end up. All right, cycled ignition. Oh, there's our fuel pump priming. I heard it. Perform a TPS auto set. So we gotta hook up the throttle cable. And then we can go over here and we gotta do the TPS. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna click start. So our engine's off, obviously. Slowly press the pedal down. Okay, it's all the way to the floor. All the way to the floor. And we're gonna hit next. Okay, successful. So now if we go monitor, TPS 0 and 100%. Okay. Scary. So let's set our fuel pressure. So John just set our fuel pressure. So we got 43.5 psi. It's pretty much there. You can see it. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. So we got fuel pressure. No leaks. Oh no.
Is it time?
It is gonna spit transmission fluid, and I am nervous, but it might be. Should we do it?
Do it.
Ah.
Let's crank her up.
I'm nervous, dude.
Send it. Yo, we gotta go.
Should we do one more?
Do one more. Do one more. Yo, it's good. Let's go. Dude,
Long time coming.
that does not sound bad.
No.
Maybe we should leave it like that.
It wasn't even that loud, honestly.
No.
I think the SSD's louder with mufflers.
Yeah, dude. It started out.
What was that? Was that the intake?
I don't know. I didn't even look. Enjoying the
It
moment.
didn't sound that crazy though. Except
Nah.
for that, like,
These things are noisy.
somebody was saying that the intake's really noisy.
That's fine. We're gonna have other noises going on. Ready for a burger?
Yeah,
Let's go celebrate.
all right, guys. So mission accomplished. We said in the beginning of this video that we wanted to get it running. We got it running. And now we stayed up kind of, well, we ended up working a lot longer than we wanted to on this today because we wanted to make sure we got it running. We were running into a couple like silly issues, but in the end, she runs. Now we just need a few more parts, but we still got a lot more stuff. So
Yeah.
we have all the accessory stuff, right, to
We
put
have
on.
all the accessory stuff. We got the turbo.
Yeah.
We need the manifold, intercooler. We got the radiator too.
Yeah, so we kind of just wanted to fire up the engine before we play with all the accessory stuff. So now while we wait for the turbo manifolds, we can start, you know, radiator,
Yeah.
figuring out
Start
cooling
plumbing.
lines, our water pump, our alternator. We can start bolting all that up. But
Now that we know that it starts.
yeah, so I think we could probably agree that everybody, I saw in the comments, somebody said that this specific, you know, knockoff throttle body makes a lot of noise. You could hear it, like once we turned it off, you could hear it screaming a lot. So we'll see, I guess we'll see if it ends up, I don't know if it's just when we're turning the engine off that the holley's trying to give it more air or something, but because when it was idling for like the 3 seconds, it sounded okay, but then and the engine sounds smooth and there was no smoke coming out of it, so I think we got a good engine.
Yeah.
So yeah, we still got a lot more dialing in to do, but the fact that we got a running engine in here, hopefully we'll be able to make our deadline. So we're gonna keep telling you guys, we're gonna be at LS Fest this year in Bowling Green, Kentucky. We'll also be at Mo Party.
Let's go.
We're gonna be in Vendors Row, both events. We'll see a huge Boosted Motorsports tents.
Yeah.
Me and John will be in there. We got a bunch of merch for you guys.
Merch, key tags, stickers,
Everything.
Take pictures with Boosted too.
Yeah, I'll be there. John will be there. If you have Jeep questions, he's your guy. If you have Hellcat Hemi swap questions, I know that stuff pretty well. So, and if you want to come see the builds, we'll have all the vehicles there. And if you want to drive one home, you can buy pretty much any one. I'm selling everything.
Anyone.
So, either way, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think down below. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you guys in the next one.